In the 1998 movie Saving Private Ryan, there's a famous scene where Captain Miller, played by Tom Hanks, who's exhausted and injured, pulls out his gun to shoot at an advancing battle tank. He seems to know his efforts are futile, but won't go down without a fight, and so he shoots again and again. But just before the tank reaches him, a fighter jet drops a bomb on it, and the tank blows up into flames. Battle tanks have been shown in dozens of war movies, and it's obvious that they're some of the most, if not the most, powerful military equipment ever invented. But have you ever wondered where they're made? In this video, we take a look inside the world's largest tank factory, Ural-Vaganzavod. Welcome back on Factory Frontiers on YouTube. Ural-Vaganzavod, often referred to as UVZ, is a machine-building mega company that produces military equipment and vehicles, road construction machines, fire support, combat vehicles, railway cars, among other machinery in eastern Russia. It currently holds the title of the world's largest manufacturer of main battle tanks. In fact, the city it's based in, Nizhny Tagil, thousands of kilometers from Russia's capital Moscow, directly translates to Tank City. The company is also one of Russia's largest scientific and industrial complexes. Let's rewind back a little to when the mega tank factory started and how it became so big. The construction work on the UVZ plant first began in 1931, during the height of the Soviet Union, and was part of the administration's second five-year plan. The entire project took 5 years, and in October 1936, the plant officially opened its doors with its flagship heavy-duty wagons. During these early years, the plant mostly dealt with freight cars. That is until the height of World War II in 1941, when Allied nations invaded Germany. Joseph Stalin, the then Soviet Union leader, fearing for his country's safety, directed the majority of factories in Western Russia and Ukraine to move their operations towards the east, where it was a lot safer. This is when one such factory, the KHPZ Factory No. 183 in Kharkiv, shifted by way of train to Nizhny Tagil. It quickly joined forces with Ural-Vaganzavod, then known as Dzerzhinsky Works, after Felix Dzerzhinsky, a Bolshevik leader and the head of the first Soviet secret police organization, to form the Stalin Ural Tank Factory No. 183. And so the factory started taking orders for battle tanks from all around the world. Soon enough, UVZ became the biggest producer of battle tanks on the planet, with the most famous of all its tanks at the time being the T-34. However, war ended and the demand for tanks dipped. Consequently, some infrastructure was moved back west to Kharkiv, and to keep itself in business, the factory started to diversify into other types of machinery, including equipment needed for construction, farming, flight, and even space exploration. Fun fact, Ural-Vaganzavod is credited for being part of rockets like Energia, Proton, Voskod, and Vostok. So what is manufactured in Ural-Vaganzavod today? Now, Ural-Vaganzavod makes a variety of things within its massive premises. Aside from the railway cars, tanks, agricultural machinery, road construction vehicles, and rockets we've already mentioned, they do make other everyday products and tools for the general public. In fact, as of the early 2000s, around two-thirds of the entire products manufactured at the plant were railway cars and civilian goods. However, more recently, the factory has significantly cut down its freight car output by up to 50%. Still, the factory is best known for making and refurbishing main battle tanks, also known as MBTs, and is Russia's sole tank manufacturer. Throughout the years, though, the plant has developed several main battle tanks, including the T-62, T-72, T-80, T-90, and the more recent T-14 Armata. Now, you're probably wondering how many of these tanks are manufactured each year. In a March 2023 interview with Russian media, Dmitry Medvedev, the Russian Security Council deputy chairman, claimed shells have run out, tanks have run out, rockets have run out. We will make 1,500 tanks this year. Going by this figure, that's about 125 tanks a month. However, Latvia-based Russian media outlet Novaya Gazeta Europe refutes this, saying, "Our source working for one of the state corporations in Russia estimates the current Ural-Vaganzavod's production capacity at 200 to 250 tanks a year." Most other reliable estimates put Ural-Vaganzavod's production capacity, even at present, at 20 tanks per month, which is about 240 a year. Still, 240 is a decent figure and well above any other tank manufacturer in the world. Now, tanks are no doubt expensive. That means Ural-Vaganzavod should make good money, right? And it does, or rather it did. In 2011, the company made $3 billion in revenue, with $300 million being profits. But then, less than 10 years later, in 2020, the company's revenue stood at 28 billion rubles. This was a few $1,000s shy of $400,000, almost the same as the profit margins in 2011, when the company didn't have any controversies. Since then, revenue figures have been largely unavailable. And of course, we can't forget the controversies. Uralvagonzavod has unfortunately been involved in several controversies over the years. In fact, 2022 was the first time that the mega company has been hit with sanctions. Back in July 2014, Russia moved to annex Crimea and start a conflict with Ukraine. This led the US, then under the Obama administration, to enforce sanctions on Uralvagonzavod as well as other key Russian entities. Shortly after, the UK followed suit. The goal of the sanctions, you ask? They were part of efforts by the international community to oppose Russia's actions in Ukraine. Despite the financial fallbacks of these sanctions, which say the company's revenue took a hit, it continued its operations as usual. Fast forward to 2022, and Russia's invasion of Ukraine led to the company facing fresh sanctions from both the United States and the European Union. All these conflicts have placed the plant under immense international scrutiny, raising concern about its involvement in its country's geopolitical conflicts. So what's the factory's current situation? Aside from the external conflicts that the factory is currently involved in, UVZ also has its internal struggles to grapple with. The biggest of which is demand. Despite being the biggest tank manufacturer in the world, the demand is far greater than what the plant can put out every year. Even though the factory employs more than 30,000 workers in their workshops, they can only deliver a few tanks a month. According to recent reports, this is about 10 times less than what the market actually demands. This means only one thing: there's only more and more pressure on Uralvagonzavod to produce more. But with more advancements in main battle tank technologies and demand for stronger, better equipped tanks, building these massive military vehicles is much harder than it was in the past. Add the fact that the factory is still struggling with upgrading its infrastructure as well as its rising debt burden, the task at hand is greater than it's ever been. For now, Russia has turned to refurbishing old tanks to address the shortage.